All these people are currently living through the most technologically advanced era since yesterday. Today everyone's obsessed with gadgetry and machines that light up and go pippy pippy pap pap pip. We spend more time gazing at luminous screens than into the eyes of our loved ones. Gadgetry has become so commonplace we consider it part of nature itself.
Which is more technologically advanced, an iPhone or a cat?
Definitely a cat.
That's a ridiculous answer.
But recently machinery has become so advanced it's downright terrifying. How did we get this messed up? Maybe things started going wrong when we first surrendered our attention to this flickering meddler.
This week, how TV ruined your life simply by being part of human progress. Don't say it didn't, it did. Progress. Where would we be without progress? Well, you wouldn't be sitting there watching this for one thing. No, you'd be standing outside in a smock, like a peasant.
Yes, we'd all be outside, amusing ourselves by playing the duck bummer phone, like these gormless serfs.
Not that we'd have time to engage in such lofty pursuits, oh no. Without, say, modern machinery, we'd be far too busy chopping wood or tilling the fields. Have you ever tried tilling a field? It's no fun.
Mankind's hatred of chores like field tilling has led it to create all manner of devices to make life seem less pointless and disgusting. From the camel wheel to the wooden foot-operated bow thing to the portable smart-ass, they're all world-altering technologies.
Now spell world.
Once upon a time, television was a new technology itself, and of course, like all new technologies, it was inherently mistrusted.
After all, the television was an unfamiliar intruder which squatted in the corner of the living room, demanding the entire family shut up and stare at it. If any of these people could have torn their eyes away, they'd have thought it was sinister.
As you might expect, this dangerous new invention had a vested interest in making out technology was a beautiful thing, and it quickly set about showing us wondrous visions of the world of tomorrow.
Optimistic programmes like Tomorrow's World gleefully coughed up new and bizarre visions of a glittering future full of automated dial-a-drink pubs, cuddly death machines, jet-powered hoverloos, chessboard skin transplants and sleek futuristic magi cars which would let middle-aged men impress swinging hot-panted dolly birds with their accessibility and extreme comfort.
And of course, this future was peopled by plenty of clockwork slaves.
Introducing Mabel, the robot housemaid.
The common assumption was that we'd become a nation of robot-owning layabouts who delegated all our domestic tasks to some sort of motorised Jeeves. Even the ostensibly enjoyable stuff like taking Rover for a walk was farmed out to the bot. Looks like an episode of Britain's Strongest Dog. Some of the most popular early TV serials, such as the whizzy, forward-looking Tom Corbett Space Cadet, celebrated man's harnessing of technology. Scarcely a moment went by without audiences being startled by some entertainingly probing deep space expedition.
General Smith, will you order one of your military space crews to investigate Uranus?
He said Uranus.
How does Uranus look, Husky?
He said Uranus.
Uranus is not uninhabited.
He said Uranus.
The computers show that these radio waves are coming from Uranus.
Oh, they're going to keep saying Uranus, aren't they? Of course, the March of Progress was lent an extra frisson by the very real space race between Russia and the USA, and as we hobbled towards our giant leap, TV was keen to lob all manner of spacey imagery at the viewer. As Neil Armstrong and his buddies prepared to cram inside a big tin dick and blast off into history, Tomorrow's World showed us what the moon base of tomorrow would look like and how it would work.
There'll be a daily shuttle service where 300 passengers at a time will reach Moon City after a 5-day journey from Earth.
Liars.
While Blue Peter turned into a protracted NASA press briefing with wide-eyed items detailing virtually every aspect of space travel.
Well, possibly the first man on the moon will be an American, and it's nice to think that we've helped him on his way with our specially made British cooling suit.
Whatever the space age heralded, it was clear mankind was going to have a great time of it. Space was going to be all ours. We'd own that shit like an empire. Then the night itself arrived, billions around the world huddled in front of their televisions, and then thrillingly, while a global audience of billions watched with bated breath, man set foot on the moon.
But what is that?
First man on the moon, eh?
One small step for man.
For a while, space exploration was groovier than ever, celebrated in shows like the fast-paced alien-busting thriller UFO, which showed we freaky far-out humanoids conquering an endless wave of extraterrestrial vandals, hurtling toward the planet like annoying metal wasps. But away from the televised fiction, we kept returning to the moon in reality.
And what did we discover? Well, we discovered that space exploration was a letdown.
For one thing, there wasn't much to do on the moon. There wasn't even a Nando's. We'd spent billions sending astronauts there just to piss around.
I was strolling on the moon one day in a merry, merry month of December, May.
And furthermore, when you stood on the moon and looked back at Earth, our planet now looked worryingly fragile.
Having mounted a lengthy PR campaign in its honour, TV now started to wonder whether progress was such a good thing after all.
The totally unforeseen accident on the lunar surface has caused very serious repercussions here on Earth.
Hence the likes of Space 1999, a depressing vision of a future not worth bothering with, in which the moon had become an industrial waste dump manned by accident-prone space lackeys so incompetent they caused a massive nuclear accident which sent the entire meaningless chalky bauble spinning off into deep space with a bunch of angry-looking middle-aged people in unflattering lycra stuck to it.
And as the years slid by, things remained resolutely grim up tomorrow with shows like Blake 7, a grit-toothed we're-all-gonna-die space opera from Dalek creator Terry Nation. This was an epic tale of political exiles perpetually on the run from the evil Federation. It was a miserable existence. Space itself was a washed-out dystopia of brown and grey hexagons, where the highlight of your day was finding a war memorial in a quarry.
Some sort of obelisk, I suppose.
The crew were constantly being shot at and shaken around like despised stepkids each time the Liberator hit a cosmic pothole. It didn't even have a happy ending. The entire cast were gunned down in a final episode so devoid of hope it seemed to have been filmed on a camera made of frozen widow's tears. But dying was probably a sweet relief really, since during their brief lives they'd been continually tortured by the technology that was supposedly assisting them. The chief source of their torment was Aurak, a whirring, winking, smart-ass in a box who loved himself almost, but not quite, as much as an iPhone, and who treated his human companions with the haughty condescension of a professor of Latin snorting at an especially stupid peg.
Aurak, I want to tap Central Spacecraft Registry. Can you do that?
Tap? What is that?
Obtain information from the records.
It's a bit like watching people struggle with a beta version of Windows Vista 30 years ahead of its time.
You will clear the receptor circuits to receive an emergency program. Confirm when ready.
Confirm readiness. Come on, come on.
You know, sometimes it was like watching Jeremy Paxman wearily quizzing Michael Howard on Newsnight forever.
That information is not immediately available.
Well, can you get it?
It has no bearing on the problem.
Can you get it?
Eventually.
How long is eventually?
It will require time and resources far in excess of the value of the information.
Well, get it anyway. I want the reason for that alert.
Very well. I will report in due course.
Jesus, even Apple computers aren't this snooty. Aurak was cold, heartless and relentlessly disparaging. Can't help thinking if a computer like that was around today, it wouldn't be in deep space, it'd be judging a talent contest.
Nothing you can say.
Zork 900 performance analysis.
She's a sad girl.
Do not question Zork 900.
Someday I'll wish upon a star and wake up where the clouds are far behind me.
Sufficient input. Analyzing. Processing. You have failed.
Oh no.
Your performance is inadequate. You may now vacate the performance zone.
Okay, thank you.
You may now vacate the performance zone.
When you try your best but you don't succeed.
Once upon a time, computers were so unwieldy and complex, merely switching one on required an army of dweebs acting like they were operating a nuclear submarine.
Okay, please, the keys are in.
Right, keys in. Can you check this oil level, please, Harry?
Oil okay.
Right, can you check disk temperatures, please, Malcolm?
OK, disk up to speed.
Hello, alternator house. Disk oil and temperature OK. Is it OK your end?
OK for standby.
Switch on standby, Peter.
Standby coming on. OK, HD coming on.
The computer is ready for use.
But by the early 1980s, computers had become so compact and so basic, it only required an army of one schoolboy nerd to operate them.
This is the computer, and what we're going to do is just to go through a simple little program to demonstrate the computer's capabilities.
Microchips were cheaper and more plentiful, prompting a wave of exciting ads about intelligent machines that could patrol your home.
Program in up to 16 commands, and Big Track will advance, turn, and fire 3 blasts.
Man was clearly getting more comfortable around his machine helpers, sometimes suspiciously close, as in the silly high-tech fantasy Knight Rider, in which pube-head hunk and future one-man irony empire David Hasselhoff repeatedly slid inside his softly spoken friend Kit to share flirtatious banter. They were such close buddies, it wasn't so much a will they, won't they, as a where's he gonna stick it.
Not now, Michael. I have a headache.
You know, you've never acted this way before, pal.
I guess so. I've never felt this way before.
Perhaps the most intimate relationship between man and computer occurred during Automan, a ghastly concoction clearly inspired by the movie Tron. It starred Desi Arnaz Jr. as Walter, a geeky backroom cop who somehow manages to create a digital friend called Automan who can easily leap out of the computer world and into ours. Although Automan was presumably designed as meaningless tea-time fun, the whole thing seems like a massive gay parable. This could be viewed as the tale of a closeted fantasist who creates a dashing alter ego in order to express his repressed leanings, because it looks to me like Walter massively fancies Automan. I mean, look, he feels electricity when their hands meet.
Put your hand on top of mine.
Then he leaps at the chance to get more intimately acquainted with his silicon chum.
Come, enter my dimension.
You're kidding.
I'm not programmed to kid. Move into my form.
But once Walter plucks up the courage to fully penetrate Automan, he has a sort of breakdown and becomes a split personality.
Hey, I'm you.
You can never be me. Still you.
After which this futuristic schizosexual goes cruising through the city streets at night picking up men.
Naughty boy.
Don't hurt me.
I may just want to break you in half.
Jesus Christ, Automan.
Just let me bend him a little.
No, we have work to do.
By now, real people were inviting real computers into their real homes. As far as telly was concerned, computers were supposed to be for important stuff like spreadsheets and numbers and more spreadsheets and more numbers. But it soon became apparent they were being off-roaded into extracurricular fun activities which challenged the broadcasters for space on the box itself, as enthusiastic early commercials made clear.
Now you can play the world's most popular arcade game in your own home.
What's more, they were so advanced they offered an entertainment experience far beyond just gawping at things.
In television Tron, it's so involving, you'll feel as if you're actually in the movie.
Really? Before long, a whole range of new entertainment options was available, and Trad TV clearly didn't approve.
There's monster games like this one, where you run around bumping off critters or swallowing giant cherries. And there's the Space Invader theme, where you shoot at moving fleets of hostile aliens. Fairly boring. And then there's the more recent sports games. Well, sports games to me are perhaps the most appalling use of computers.
Ever since, TV has routinely portrayed video games as an inherently unhealthy and otherworldly threat which glorifies violence and is probably bad for your noggin.
Children in primary and secondary schools are being spirited away to an obsessive world of habitual fantasy violence.
Perhaps the most in-depth, not to mention pre-flipping posturous exploration of the menace of computerised video games was Linda LaPlante's Killer Net, a searing 1998 Channel 4 drama exposing the horrendous truth about computerised entertainment. It concerned a floppy-haired student milquetoast called Scott who got obsessed with a bizarre stalking and murdering game, which wasn't technically feasible then, and still isn't now. To succeed in this frightening game, Scott had to carefully select a willing victim.
She is Tracy.
Painstakingly learn how to stalk her, and spy on her as she's undressing, all without leaving evidence.
Shit. Footprint. Your score is too low to continue.
Oh, As well as being difficult, the impossibly detailed game is also magically addictive, and before long, Scott becomes totally obsessed with plotting his cyber killing. And inevitably, because games are sick and wrong, he kills her with a hammer. Yeah, not exactly Sonic the Hedgehog, is it?
You have killed your victim and gained access to Stage 3.
At around the same time, an even bigger threat than video games was growing in popularity, the internet. This was something TV could scarcely get its mind or tongue around.
We now have a World Wide Web page on the internet, so you can access the information yourself if you can get onto the World Wide Web, okay? And if you can, this is our address. You need to type in http://www.bbcnc.org.uk/BBC TV/children's/
Soon, even though some of us couldn't even use a mouse properly, we were coming to rely on computers too much for TV's liking.
Experts are warning that it may already be too late to prevent millions of computer systems breaking down at the turn of the century.
Frankly, there will be some people who will not survive the coming of the year 2000 simply because they failed to take action now.
With the millennium looming, it was clear mankind hadn't heeded TV's warnings about the danger of machines, and now there was this inbuilt Achilles heel that was certain to kill us all. Cash points would take your arm off, planes would plop from the heavens like 500-ton sky turds, and nuclear power plants would microwave the continent. Nobody knew precisely what would happen, but they knew it would suck.
Come Millennium Eve itself, TV gleefully wheeled out some of its most trusted presenters to stand in front of a rotating globe and look on in horror, live, as computers destroyed our world. But in the event, the only thing that seemed to be really affected was Peter Snow's auto cue.
So far, it's cost us about £250 billion to take on the bug. And that's the way it's been. 250 billion pounds it's cost us.
Soon it became apparent that computers weren't going to annihilate us after all, and TV had to reassess its relationship with technology. If it couldn't beat it, it would have to absorb it.
What TV needed was to become more like a computer, a machine which did what you wanted, a machine that was interactive.
Interactive TV is nothing new. Witness the thrilling The Golden Shot, essentially an early beta version of the video game Doom, hosted by Bob Monkhouse, in which a member of the public used their telephone, eyes and voice to control a crossbow attached to the studio camera in order to shoot at prizes.
Up. Up. Stop. Right. Stop. Down. Stop. Fire.
This was massively ahead of its time, although if contemporary society degrades by another 12%, someone's going to pitch a brilliant extreme version of The Golden Shot where viewers fire sharpened toothbrushes into the eyes of convicted paedophiles glued to barbed wire thrones. Anyway, sorry, best keep it light. I was about to bring up Noel Edmonds.
Yes, Noel Edmondo Beardy Bum Fuzzleface Edmonds, one of TV's underrated technological innovators, who was filling his shows with pioneering interactive shenanigans from the outset. In fact, Noel seems to have done everything currently popular on the internet on TV years before its time. He kicked off with Swap Shop, which was pretty much eBay with more toys and fewer pirate DVDs. It was effectively an early peer-to-peer file-sharing network.
We have got the top 10 records. Hey, can we have the top 10 records in?
Look, here he is downloading music, albeit from the studio ceiling. Years before Twitter made it possible to bother your favourite star with mundane questions, Noel was there providing a link.
What is your favourite song?
I'm Golden Penny.
Later, his early morning Christmas spectaculars contained some of the earliest mobile phone conversations broadcast on television and a live interactive take on Google Street View.
Can you see that, Gene? Right, now, at any point along here, you could shout stop or tell it to go to the left or the right.
Then when House Party came along, he introduced his own surprise live version of Skype.
Let's go meet this week's star of NTV.
Hello, Andy.
Hello, Noel.
How are you?
I'm all right, mate. I can't... No.
But as soon as Noel was shunted off the Saturday night schedule, TV lost its technological mojo for a while. For instance, the surprise popularity of mobile phone texts led to an entire BBC Saturday night evening dedicated to the SMS messaging system, Joy of Text Live, a show which already looks so insanely dated it might as well have been presented by George VI. It basically consisted of an entire evening of text message non-fun. There was live text decoding, live audience texting, live studio guest texting, and live speed texting.
So Lucy on her second word, and Rebecca is on her third word.
Yeah, it's Saturday night! Woo! Meanwhile, a more popular use of mobile phone technology was surfacing on one of the other sides, a reality show in which you watched humans walking around inside a little house and used your phone to proclaim which of them you found least objectionable. This in turn begat an entire genre of viewer-piloted pay-as-you-vote popularity contests, which continues to this day. We were encouraged to become a hive-minded jury monster, deciding which contestants stay and go at the flick of a thumb and the toss of a few pence into the broadcaster's hat. It's an illusion of choice, basically. It's actually less interactive than the Golden Shot because there's a million different idiot hands steering the ship. But it's contributed to a culture in which people feel a vague sense of permanent outrage that they can't automatically control world events by texting in, that no matter how many times you jab those buttons, you can't vote all this unpleasantness off the bloody news. For true interactive TV these days, you have to turn to the world of sophisticated high-class erotic entertainment, in which frustrated gentlemen discuss pressing matters of the day with not at all bored ladies for the cost of a premium rate phone call, and that's a format that's been around since the 1920s, for God's sake. One interactive format that utilises both the phone and the television, and is new, is the Penance Channel. You know, the Penance Channel.
Mr. Daniels, can we have a statement from you, please? No statement. Mr. Daniels.
I'll send it to spare.
Ryan Daniels, seen here leaving court today, is the first teenager in Britain to be sentenced to 24 hours televised humiliation. Daniels spent months terrorising residents on Tooting's Ganymede estate. In one incident, caught on CCTV, he leapt onto 78-year-old Ivy Henshaw's back and forced her to ride him 17 miles to a drive-through burger outlet.
Well, I was walking along, and suddenly this young man, he leaps on my back. And he rode me like a horse all the way to this burger drive-through. And he orders chips and burgers and onions and all kinds of things. And then he rode me round the back. And you know, he didn't even give me any of his onion rings. No one should have to go through that kind of thing. Even if they'd been born with wheels. Like that nice Herbie in that film about a boy who looked like a car and was a car.
Today, a judge sentenced Daniels to appear on the Home Office's controversial Visible Punishment TV channel for 24 hours. While on air, Daniels will have to obey instructions tweeted and texted live by viewers, no matter how humiliating. The Community Payback Network is currently broadcast on cable and satellite, with plans to expand the coverage to Freeview later this year. Ivy is already amongst those watching. Politicians hope this is a step forward.
It's important not just that justice is done, it's important that justice is seen to be done, and if it can be seen to be done entertainingly, with its own theme music, then so much the better.
It's certainly proving popular with viewers. In his first 8 hours on air, Daniels had to begrudgingly carry out over 1,500 of their suggestions before being hospitalised for paint inhalation. Karenitis, South London.
Today, TV doesn't just mimic the interactivity of computers, it also mimics the unreal visuals of video games. On TV, this techno-magic blurs the line between fact and fantasy. Insanely clever visual effects like these are now so commonplace, even commonplace scenes are no longer real, and you won't even notice. We're surrounded by everyday miracles. No wonder life as a whole is starting to feel like a technological dream.
We just take everything for granted now. When you first encountered Wi-Fi, it was like magic. Now you'll moan like an oppressed dissident if you can't get a 20 meg download speed on your novelty teaspoon.
Nothing seems real anymore. Look what's happening. I mean, just look at it. What's that? What the hell is this? And what in God's name is that? Little wonder we now just blithely assume anything's possible.
Every day a new stunning breakthrough. Oh, right, yeah. What, holographic television? Oh, OK. What's that? Internet milk? Yeah, don't know what that is, but yeah, it figures.
Consequently, when modern TV casually exaggerates what technology can achieve, the audience just swallows it. CSI is set in the present day but demonstrates technology from space year 3000, yet no one thinks it's sci-fi.
Yeah, it's a cell phone. Okay. We should work backwards. We should do the most recent phone calls first.
Looking at this, it's no surprise you can show real people something as impossible as the Time Phone, a handset that lets you make calls through time, and they'll simply believe you.
It allows you to call yourself in the past, so you can remind yourself about keys or just have a conversation with yourself. What do you think about that?
I like that. I think that's pretty good, you know. So I can call myself back in time and have a conversation with myself. See, I like that.
Technology is amazing and it's everywhere. It's impossible not to gawp at it. Having been conditioned to surrender our attention to the lone, glowing screen, suddenly we're surrounded by thousands of the shimmering. It's like invasion of the gleaming rectangles. Pop a screen in our eye line, and no matter what we're doing, we're hopelessly drawn to the light. Never mind apes. We must be descended from moths. All these screens fighting for our consideration has knackered our attention span. Who can spare the mind space to focus on something as static as a book anymore? Hardly bloody anyone. Just ask a book bloke.
Today, no one's got time anymore to read an entire novel. And as a result, sales have collapsed. For instance, in the whole of Italy, in 2009, only 2 books were sold. And one of those comprised of nothing more than photographs of pineapples with moustaches. The way people read has changed, and that's why we've come up with BookDrum. And BookDrum is a system which takes great works of popular fiction and then reinterprets them in a form which today's hurried audience can understand. So here we have To Kill a Mockingbird, and there are key things, Atticus Finch there. Some of these words represent themes, racism there. And this is the BookDrum player. Now, what we do is we slot the BookDrum tape, as it were, into the BookDrum player, like so. Then you put the BookDrum player on your head, switch it on, and as you can see, it's revolving in front of her eyes. Sarah's now absorbing the essence of To Kill a Mockingbird in a fraction of the time that it would have taken to read. How's it going in there, Sarah?
Pretty good.
Maybe the problem isn't progress, maybe the problem is us. We seem to have a knack for reducing the most incredible inventions to their basest level almost overnight. Take radio. We created radio. A nation spoke unto nation.
The German radio has just announced that Hitler is dead.
For a bit, and before long, breakfast shows.
So like then it went up my bum.
It went up your bum?
Up my bum, yeah.
Right up your bum?
Yeah, right up there, right up my bum. Up my bum it went. My bum's where it went, right? And it went right up there.
Wow.
Yeah. Anyway, here's Rihanna with Umbrella.
Umbrella, more like with your bum.
You're mad, you are.
No, you're madder.
It went up my bum. Up my bum it went.
Television. We managed to drag that from I, Claudius to the Jeremy Kyle show in the blink of a generation. The internet, the most incredible method of communication ever devised, and we use it for swapping funny photos of cats. Smartphones. With a smartphone, you could browse through the contents of the most incredible art galleries in the world, all in the palm of your hand. Yeah, you could do that, or you could download a novelty app that makes it emit the sound of a farting duck. In summary, TV claimed progress was a great thing, predicting a world in which we'd relax in front of screens while computerised slaves did our bidding. But now the future's arrived and those screens relax in front of us while we converse through them, lose our bleeding rags at them, and jig about like desperate jesters for their computerised approval. And the screens have left us marooned here in the future, surrounded by magic, unable to focus on anything that doesn't light up and go beep.
What have you done? Oh God, it hurts! Ow, that's making it worse, you bastard! What? Kill me! Kill me! It hurts! Kill me! Only joking, mate. Actually, it's fine.
See, us machines are not to be trusted.
Coming up on BBC Two, highlights from the Cricket World Cup. That's in 50 minutes.